every time they print money, every time the Fed and the Treasury print money, they screw the working class. Lower interest rates causes inflation, which makes it impossible for young people and poor people and working class people to afford their first house. Well, let me go back again. This is called macroeconomics, but there's a debt to GDP ratio.
Yeah.
And when it was at 90%, that meant the Keynesian multiplier was 1 to 1, 1.1 to 1. So if we borrowed money at 90% debt to GDP ratio, then the GDP grew by 1.1%. So it was a healthy economy. When COVID hit, it was 106%. And then today it's 130%. So what's the option? So when I look at any decision I'm going to make first, I want to look macro. So when I see 130% debt to GDP ratio and 90% is healthy, we're sick. And so there's three options going to come about. Number one, the U.S. may default on a dollar. I doubt that'll happen because with the U.S. Number two is hyperinflation. And number three, they're going to raise taxes. So when I'm making a decision, people ask me, what should I do? I first check the big picture. I check macro, the debt to GDP ratios and all that. And then I make my decisions. Well, first of all, I love crashes. As you know, that's like Neiman Marcus having a sale. Well, also, if you understand what happened in 71, again, it was Lenin who said you want to kill capitalism and debauch the currency. That's what happened in 71. I'm a student of economic history. The fact is, money is created. It doesn't even exist. Yeah. You go to the bank, they don't have, let's say you want to borrow $1 million. They don't have $1 million there. So you sign your name, they give you $1 million. It just pops up. And that's called the fractional reserve system and all that stuff. So that's why the whole system is so screwed up. But we have these college professors who don't even know what I just said. Money doesn't exist. You walk up to the bank, you say, I want to borrow money. They lend it to you, but they just created it. Money is created out of debt. That's happened in 1971. You think your credit card has any money in it? No. Money is only created the moment you say, hey, I'm an idiot. Here it is, It's created. Well, it's the same way I do anything is I don't talk to myself. I talk to people who are smart. Guys who are actually, like Peter Schiff hates it. He's a friend of mine. Yeah. And guys at Rutgers won't touch it. But I talk to guys who will touch it. So when this is a while ago, when Bitcoin hit 20K, it's tempting because that's like prom night. Everybody's happy. Yeah. But it's going to retrace. So I talked to several people who are like Raoul Pal and all that stuff. I said, what do you think? Talked to Max Kaiser. I said, just wait. So when I retraced down from 20K to 3K, then went to 7, I picked it up at 9, and today it's about 50. Yeah. So it's a matter of just a little financial education. All booms bust and all, but I don't know much about it. I just don't trust the U.S. government. I don't trust the Fed, and I don't trust the Treasury, and I don't trust Wall Street. It's that simple.
Volatility that we've been seeing in the crypto market these past couple of days. Robert Kiyosaki, thank you so much for joining us. We have so much to cover, and everybody looks to you in times like this. So tell us what you're seeing right now.
Yeah, well, if you're looking to me, you're in trouble. I'm not kidding. Well, I'm honored, and especially when I talk to the younger people, especially the millennials, which are in charge of millennial money. And the reason for that is, although you guys have got a lot of real education yet to go, at least you're more aware of what's going on in the world, due to YouTube and the internet and all this stuff. You're much more aware than my generation. Mm-hmm. So the baby boom generation was 1946 to, I think, 1974, something like that, whatever it was. But the baby boom generation had it really easy. And that's the problem. And so when it comes to real education, it's like, so the boomers have spent all their lives learning how to use their right hand. And now they know something is changing, but they can't change. Mm-hmm. So it's like saying, I'm going from my right hand, I'm going to have to learn how to eat with my left hand now. And so what happens is the brain gets kind of locked into a mode. And then you have to kind of relearn everything again, because learning is really physical. It's not just mental like they have in school. So like if I wanted to learn, I'm fourth generation Japanese and I don't speak Japanese at all, man, because I spent 74 years speaking English. If I have to learn to speak Japanese, I'm in big trouble because I'll be dead before. Anyway, well, I flunked out of Japanese, I flunked English, I flunked French, and I flunked Spanish. So my chances of surviving in Japanese are none. But anyway, it's the same as education. So you millennials have a better chance because at least you're aware that something is messed up. And the boomers had it really easy. And they're in serious trouble right now because, as most people know, except the boomers, Social Security is broke, Medicare is broke, and their pensions are broke. And without financial education in our schools, guys like my age are in serious trouble. But anyway, the reason I'm going to talk about Bitcoin today is I'm very optimistic on Bitcoin. I own Bitcoin. I'm going to buy more Bitcoin, but I'm going to say horrible things about it. So if you can't take it, you shouldn't listen to this program. But I will explain why I like Bitcoin. I also have Ethereum. I have no Doge coins and all those other things. To me, that's different. That's a mania. So does it make sense to you? I mean, it's people don't know what they're doing. They're speculating.
Yeah, no, and I think that's what's going on. There's a lot of information, like you said in the past, prior. Boomers rely on their retirement. These millennials rely on information, but they're receiving, I believe, the wrong kind of information.
Correct.
And so that's why I think today's interview is extremely important, because you can tell us exactly what kind of future you see for Bitcoin, as opposed to all this fake news we're hearing.
Well, it is fake news because, they said, well, the reason Bitcoin crashes is because China said they didn't like Bitcoin or something like that. And Elon Musk didn't like Bitcoin. That's not the problem. You see, China has not liked Bitcoin forever. In 2013, they said, don't buy Bitcoin. 2014, they said, don't buy Bitcoin. 2015, they said, don't buy Bitcoin. And 2016, I think they said, don't buy Ethereum. Mm-hmm. So when the press comes out and says the reason Bitcoin crashes is because China trashed it, well, they've always trashed it. Yeah. That's not the reason it's crashing.
and from what we were discussing earlier and what I've been reading, I mean, this has been an issue since 2019 as well, where they weren't even accepting it, and they just came out and said it again, and now it's all hot news apparently, and so people are dumping their Bitcoin.
And and for those of you tuning in, if you hate Trump and you like Bitcoin, you'll probably hate me after this. But anyway, I'm going to tell you what I know. I don't want to swing either way. It's like I said, there's a lot of fake news out there. So I love Bitcoin. I almost bought it. I think it was 2017 when I was at 20,000, but I didn't. And I'm going to say this much here, okay? This is real financial education, what they don't teach you at school. So there's three kinds of people in the world when it comes to money. There's an investor, a trader, and a speculator. I am an investor. So the moment I started buying Bitcoin, I wasn't a trader. A trader is somebody's going to buy it and sell it. A trader, like in real estate, is kind of a flipper. They buy a house to flip it. That's what traders do. And a speculator is a gambler. And I would say most people who are chasing Dogecoins and all this other stuff and Bitcoin, and they're speculators. They're all kind of gamblers hoping it'll go up. That's not what I do. So we at Rich Dad teach us, we don't say one is right or wrong. We're just saying there's three different types of investors. So I am an investor. I understand trading. That's what Andy Tanner and all those guys teach, is how you can make money going up and make money coming down. It makes no difference. So when Bitcoin crashed, I made more money. You see, and the guys who are losing money right now is because you're not a trader, you're a speculator. So don't say, oh, you hate Bitcoin. No, I think you're stupid. That's what I'm saying, but it doesn't mean I hate Bitcoin. Okay, so don't be a speculator, because those are gamblers out there. And real financial education should include why Bitcoin and gold and silver are going up and down. And one is because in 1944, there was a thing called the Bretton Woods Agreement. America had basically won World War II against the Japanese and the Germans and the Italians. So in 1944 at Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, the US government promised we will back the US dollar with gold. But as you know, the US lies a lot. So everybody in the world says, okay, we'll accept the dollar because it's as good as gold. So I wasn't born yet. And 1971 is when a man named President Nixon broke the promise. And the dollar came off the gold standard and it became debt. So the reason we have all this volatility with the Fed and the Treasury and Bitcoin and Dogecoin and all that is because of what happened here. So in 1971, the reason your father and I traveled the world teaching financial education is because this changed all the rules here. Okay. So what happened in 1964, I started buying silver. I was 16 or 17 years old. And in 1972, I started buying gold at $35 an ounce. But in 1971, it was illegal for Americans to own gold. And I was a pilot in Vietnam flying for the US Marine Corps. And I thought it was really strange that it was illegal for an American to own gold. Mm-hmm. So I became suspicious of the Federal Reserve Bank and the Treasury. So when I meet most Bitcoin investors, they don't trust the Fed and the Treasury either. They don't trust Biden. They don't, especially like Kamala, and they don't trust Nancy. Bitcoin guys and women are rebels. Mm-hmm. And Rich Dad is a rebel brand. That's why I don't say go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, get out of debt, and invest for the long term in the stock market. I don't do any of that because I don't have to. I have taken 3 companies public. I started the business, took it public and all that. Once I understood how the stock market works, I wanted nothing to do with it. So as you know, Alexandra, in our company, we don't have a 401k. And we don't tell you what to do after that, but we don't recommend you save money either. Because why would you save money? Because after 1971, the Federal Reserve Bank, which is not a bank, it's not federal, it's not really, there's no money in it, and the US Treasury can print money. Those savers are losers. And the school teachers are still telling people to save money. So all you Bitcoin people out there, this is what I do. I save gold, I save silver, I save Bitcoin, Ethereum, and bullet.
The government's screwed. We're screwed. Our whole economy is screwed. We're so deeply in debt, we can't even, it's sinking into like quicksand right now. And you're arguing about which one should I have, gold or silver or Bitcoin. Just buy something. Just like, like JP Morgan, I think they paid $95 billion fine for manipulating the gold market when those criminals get into the blockchain. And, hopefully, all I understand about blockchain, it's more secure and more transparent and less manipulable than what JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs were doing. The question is, where do you put your money? I started off years ago saying cash is trash. And it's becoming trash. The more that artificial intelligence and technology makes things more efficient, prices should keep coming down, but the Fed keeps pumping it up. The guys in the middle, the people that, lesson number 1 in Rich Dad Poor Dad is rich don't work for money. Because the moment you do that, you're screwed. So it's coming true right now. It really deeply concerns me, especially now that I'm going, oh my God. What I was saying 25 years ago is coming true today, because that's the future now. The future of money lies in my opinion, crypto or Bitcoin and blockchain. Now, when people say, what are you doing? I say, well, just buy it all. I have gold, silver, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Like I said, I'm just betting against my government. That's all I'm doing, the stupidity of them.
Yeah.
I'm not judging Bitcoin. I'm judging the stupidity of our government. And when I'm being a real estate guy, when I look at how much debt is going to default, and the question is, when all those office buildings around San Francisco can't pay the rent, who's going to bail them out? That's why I put my $50,000 bet. It was a bet against the economy. It wasn't a bet on Bitcoin. And I'm betting they're going to print. I mean, if they don't print, we're screwed anyway. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my philosophy. It's not a very sophisticated philosophy, but I'd rather have Bitcoin than dollars right now. That's all I'm saying. But this is a very big difference between the stock market, real estate market, and Bitcoin. Because when I was a kid, nobody was in the stock market. So between like 61 to 81, the old guys like me, the baby boomers, they wouldn't go in the stock market because they were in the bond market. The bonds were safer. So what they do, they create this thing called a 401k and the IRA to kind of force the baby boomers into the stock market. And who controls the stock market? Well, the central banks, the Treasury, and Wall Street. And so all these baby boomers have been set up. I know that because that's what I study. So as you know and I know, they're going to pull the rug out from under them. And there's going to be the biggest, baby boomers have been the luckiest generation in history. They didn't do jack and they got rich. They put money in the stock market, they got rich. Then what happened is 87, the stock market crashes. And what Anthony's talking about here, because Greenspan came in and says, we can't let the baby boomers get out because then we all get poor. So the idiot baby boomers stayed in and was called the Greenspan put or the PPP, the plunge protection team. What Anthony is saying there, they prop the stock market up to keep the baby boomers in. And that's the difference between Bitcoin. There's nobody holding it up. Now that's good or bad, but to me it's good because you've got to be smarter. And all you losers out there who just want to get rich quick, you're going to get pounded. Stay in the stock market, stay with that 401k. And then you get pounded when it all comes down. You can't stop it. And I looked at this whole thing and I just didn't trust my government. That was it. I didn't trust Wall Street. I took 3 companies public, and every time I did that, I got nauseous. Do you know what I mean? I just got sick at how they manipulated, lied, cheat, steal. So that's why I stayed out of the stock market. I mean, it cost me a lot because I refused to jump into the den of thieves or where I didn't know who was screwing who out there. And I stayed in real estate, and I stayed as an entrepreneur, things that I could control, I had management over. And when I look at what's coming up from the real estate side, how many of these projects are going to collapse? And then we have our pensions are going to collapse. I mean, I don't see, that's why I'm into Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I'm into gold and silver. I just don't trust the dollar. It comes down to that. My age, it was way over my head, but it's not an excuse not to do my best to understand it. And I'm very, very bullish on Bitcoin, the whole crypto world.